There we go. All right, let's get started. So let's present here. And then just to recap, definitely ask any questions in the chat and we'll go through and answer them at the end. So today we're here to talk about how to create data-driven buyer profiles and personalize your marketing. So my name is Katie. I'm on Octane AI's team. So I'm on the marketing and strategic partnerships team. And I came in from customer success. So I've worked with brands like GoPro or Warner Music Group to help them really personalize their marketing across different channels. So what is Octane AI though? Octane AI provides an all-in-one platform for quizzes, Facebook Messenger, and SMS marketing. So we sync with other platforms like email marketing and your Shopify backend to help sync data across your tech stack and make it way easier to personalize your marketing. So before we dive into buyer profiles and all that complicated jargon, let's go back to this. So this was probably you last February going into a store, looking for stuff, whether it was shirts, beauty products. You could walk into a store and you could filter around, see what you liked, and really take a look at everything. But what happened last year, we all know it, the pandemic, but what that forced us to do was to shop more online. And what that actually showed was that e-commerce actually sped up by 5 years. I think it was IBM who said that. So 5 years, e-commerce jumped ahead in terms of growth and adoption. So this shift that happened where everybody started to purchase online, it really became permanent. People got comfortable shopping online and they kind of ditched the in-store experience. So this was the experience that people had. They walked into a retail store, they got to talk to a sales associate, they got to ask questions. So whether they were looking for something like a lipstick or a shirt, they could say, hey, I'm not sure about the ingredients of this product. What do you think? And they could ask those questions and have that dialogue. What it also meant was that people could build relationships with the brand. So I'm sure we've all had that experience where if you have a really good conversation with a sales associate, the way that you think about that brand, it's totally enhanced. Whereas if you have a negative experience with that sales associate, all of a sudden, how you view that brand has deteriorated a little bit. So this is what's happening nowadays. People are just scrolling through product catalogs. It can get really confusing. And actually what it can kind of feel like, it's more like someone's being dropped in a warehouse and they're looking at all these products and they don't really know what's right for them. So there's not really that person to ask, that relationship that they have with the brand or sales associate. And they're kind of going through all these product detail pages, looking for the product that could be right for them. So what's the key to fixing this? Well, it's to humanize your e-commerce experience through personalization. So I'm going to say that again for emphasis. It's to humanize your e-commerce experience through personalization. So trying to give someone a more human experience when they land on your site and help them build that relationship online, which so many brands are not doing whatsoever. I think if you go to a lot of the major stores that everyone looks at, like Gymshark, Kylie Cosmetics, or Fashion Nova, a lot of them are not doing that. So that's where you end up scrolling through all of these different product catalogs, which can get really overwhelming. So what we'll actually cover today is how to humanize your e-commerce experience. And how you actually do that is by building a foundation with buyer profiles. So today we'll cover what is a buyer profile, the elements of a buyer profile, and then collecting buyer profile data, and how do you actually take that data and use it to personalize your marketing and humanize your e-commerce experience. So someone's not being dropped in and sifting through all of these different products by themselves. So what is the buyer profile? The buyer profile is the sum of buying information that you have on each customer. So I'm actually going to flip screens and go back and see if any questions. Definitely, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. as well. But what is the buyer profile? So it's the sum of buying information that you have on each customer. So what makes up this information on each customer is customer data, like age, gender, location, allergy, skin color, or diet, purchase data, what they've purchased in the past, average order value or frequency, and then preference data, color preferences, product preferences, or what they're actually looking for. So what's their intent when they're coming to your store? And so here's actually a really good example, and it blows me away every time I go to their site. Somewhere I purchase frequently is Aritzia. One of the reasons why I love their e-commerce experience is because every time I come to their site, they have a welcome message that pops up, and they actually tailor the site towards me. So the last product that I purchased, which is data that they obviously know, was a tan product. So the second time I visited the site, they've now tailored it to things that I would like. So they could have had, neon products and really stark colors, but instead they chose more neutral products to show to me on the homepage, which is really creative. Something they also do is every time they have a sale, they actually have a little message that says, "Welcome back, Katie, we have a sale for you." And it definitely makes me feel like I'm walking into the store and they're welcoming me, which kind of brings back that human experience versus just landing on the site and it's on me to sift through different products. So how can you create buyer profiles? Using quizzes. So quizzes are such a powerful tool for collecting first-party data, marketing opt-ins, and really helping to personalize your e-commerce experience. So beyond something like purchase data, where it's the last time someone purchased something or what they purchased, when someone actually visits the site, you can use a quiz to ask them what their intent is. And then it's also first-party data. It's not based on behavior. It's not based on assumptions that you're making. You're actually asking somebody, what shoes are you, or what are you using your shoes for? Do you walk? Do you run? Do you cross train? And that can help you recommend better products to them and tailor your site's experience. And we'll go through how that data is collected and how you can use that. So here's a really good example. After people answer those questions, you can then actually present them with a results page. So you can have this quiz really built out to ask them all the questions that you'd like to know, whether it's, do you have dry skin? What do you use your running shoes for? And then you can actually recommend them products that are directly related to their answers using different pieces of logic. And that way, you're actually giving them the product that they're most likely to purchase. So it's that consultative experience, kind of like someone would get in store. So once you have this data and you've collected it through a quiz, you can use that data through other channels. So email, SMS, messenger marketing. You can personalize those messages based on the questions that you're asking in your quiz, which is so crazy. You can also trigger flows. So let's say Aritzia had a quiz and they asked me, do you like neon colors or neutral colors? I'd pick neutral colors. So what they can actually do is they can then say, okay, if somebody likes neutral colors, let's trigger this email flow or this messenger message or this SMS text. And then they can actually tailor all of these messages towards my preferences, which is really cool. Something we'll also talk about later, sponsored messages. So sponsored messages are a really powerful marketing tool in Octane AI that you can basically create a message and send it over Messenger using Facebook advertising targeting tools. So send somebody a sponsored message on their birthday, key life events on Facebook that you have from Facebook advertising. You can actually send them direct messages using that and using the data that you collect in your quiz. And then analytics. So understanding customer shopping trends and personalizing towards that. So when you have all of these people answering these questions in your quiz, you can actually zoom out and say, okay, here are all the analytics for, my customers' behavior and what they like and what they don't like, which is also really powerful. And so here's a really, really great example. When you have a quiz and you have different questions and results pages, you can see really granular data. So here's a really good example of skincare. So let's say you have a quiz and you're asking people, what age are you? Are you looking to prevent wrinkles? Do you have oily skin? You can actually see, okay, how many people who've taken this quiz have oily skin compared to people who have dry skin. We've had some brands who have found some crazy things like, oh my gosh, 75% of our customers are worried about they're trying anti-aging and they're worried about wrinkles. So what they'll actually do is say, okay, when we're doing product development, that's something really powerful to know because now we can tailor messaging or products towards that audience. You can also see on the results pages, conversion rate, orders, average order value from that results page. So something another brand also found was, okay, people who are above the age of 30 who are really concerned about wrinkles, they actually have a higher average order value than someone who's a teen with oily skin, who typically has a smaller order. So these are really powerful insights that you can get from a quiz beyond just using data for marketing. So this was a lot of info, but let's recap so far and zoom out a little bit. So buyer personas or buyer profiles, you can use a quiz to collect that data. When you have their email or their messenger, you can then use that data that you collect in a quiz and retarget them through your marketing channels. So this is kind of the standard flow that someone might go through, but it's also just a really good experience because they then have a quiz, they get recommended a product, and on the flip side, you get all of that data to use in retargeting. And so I'll just go back and see if anyone has any questions so far. Definitely let me know if you have any questions. Just put them in the chat. We also have a Q&A right at the very end. So here are some great examples. Skinny Mixes, they actually have a flavor quiz. So you can, the second you go to their site, you can take the quiz and you can answer all of these questions. So whether you like cold drinks, hot drinks, do you like caramels and chocolates, or do you like fruity? And they'll actually provide you with different recipes that help you decide on which products to buy or educate you on why certain products are really great. Here's another really good example. Doe Lashes. So they have a Find Your Lashes quiz. And this is a really great consultation. So they ask you, what type of eyelids do you have? Monolids, double lids, hooded eyelids. Do you wear lashes often? Do you wear them every day? Do you not wear them at all? What's your experience with different lashes? And then another great example, Marco Underwear, they actually have a quiz on Messenger chat on their site. So they actually have a discussion that someone can engage with while they're scrolling through the site to ask questions, be recommended products, and this also acts like a really good consultation experience. So we're going to dive deeper into these two examples. So Doe Lashes with their lashes consultation quiz and Skinny Mixes with their recipe quiz. So this is Doe Lashes. Doe Lashes sells lashes. They've actually found some crazy things with their quiz. So one of the things that they found out was that a lot of people actually don't have any lashes or they're not experienced with lashes. And this is a lash company. So I think they were assuming, okay, everyone who's coming to purchase from us has some experience with lashes or they know about lashes. And they actually found that way more people than they thought had never worn a lash. So they did something really cool. So they created this quiz. When you wear lashes, what type of lashes do you have? Or what type of eyelids do you have? And what kind of look do you prefer? Which then leads someone to a results page with a recommended lash to buy. During this quiz, they actually ask for email as well. So right before they hit the results page, they ask for email and give 15% off. What this has actually done is it's helped them collect 3 times more emails than through all of the welcome pop-ups that they have on site, which is a crazy increase in email opt-ins for them. And so then after they launched this quiz with the email opt-in, 44% of email opt-ins were then driven through their quiz, which is crazy. So what they actually do with this data, every time somebody either hits a results page or answers a question, they actually sync this data to their email marketing software, Klaviyo. So they know then in Klaviyo, okay, this person has never worn lashes, or this person has worn lashes before. And then they actually personalize their marketing towards them. So they create one of those flows where they say, okay, Katie has never worn lashes before, so we're going to send her this email to give her some education on how to wear lashes, or what the best lashes are for her. So this is a really great use case for how someone actually collects buyer profile data and uses it to personalize marketing. It's also, they provide an engaging experience. So me, from the customer side, I'm going to their site, I'm answering these questions, and then they're actually providing me with a recommendation, and then they're personalizing their messaging towards me. So I think sometimes one of the misconceptions is like, oh, people would find us creepy, or people wouldn't like this. This is actually a really positive experience, and it really separates them from other lash brands who don't have an experience like this. So if Doe Lashes is providing me with this experience where they're tailoring everything towards me, they're making it really easy to purchase. If I get a lash brand where I'm kind of dumped on the site and I have to look through everything myself, it's a totally different experience from the customer side. And so now what Doe Lashes actually has is they have a really great funnel. So something that they do is they actually run ads to their quiz. So they try and get, new prospects through Facebook advertising sent to their quiz landing page to take the quiz, submit their email, make a purchase, and then it creates this really beautiful funnel where they're collecting data, collecting marketing opt-ins, recommending a product and creating this crazy engaging experience, and then doing it all over again with advertising. So it's a really, really cool use case for basically the perfect way to do it. They're doing it really perfectly. And so here is a graphic of an actual customer journey. So I'll kind of leave this up for a couple seconds just to make sure everyone can see it. Here's a really good example of how somebody goes through a quiz and what that experience looks like. So the blue at the top there, that's the customer's experience. So let's say, someone comes in from one of Doe Lash's ads. They go over to the website and they take the quiz. Then they're presented with a product recommendation. They make that first purchase, and then you could even retarget them with a post-purchase quiz. You can also, so as in the yellow there, as someone's giving you this information through the quiz, you're building their buyer profile. So if you see the shop quiz and how it's recording the data, then you're building a buyer profile. So you're seeing the needs, preferences, concerns, interests, any questions that you're asking. And then what you're actually able to do is identify key personas and create those flows like Doe Lashes is to say, okay, Katie doesn't know anything about lashes. We're going to send her an email that educates her on how to use lashes. So you can kind of create those flows and blocks of people that you want to take through specific points of messaging. So you have those people who don't know anything about lashes, educate them a little bit more on lashes and help them get there. Or you have people who know a ton about lashes and always wear lashes, and then you can actually give them different, more personalized information. So I'll just stop there as well and go back and just check if there's any questions. Definitely let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to type them in the chat. Perfect. And so this is an awesome graphic. And I think that this will also be recorded. So in case you miss anything, definitely look for the recording of this. And then you can also kind of flip through slides and go back to this. So the other example is skinny mixes. So skinny mixes was that first quiz that I showed you where they actually have a flavor quiz. So they ask you, do you like hot drinks or cold drinks? And then they recommend a product that way. So here's their flavor quiz that they have on site. And then what they actually do is they have Facebook Messenger opt-ins throughout the site. So the first one on the left here, this is a checkbox on their product detail page. And just adding that checkbox, so someone clicks it and then they add the product to cart, they've actually created 4,000 new subscribers within a 90-day period. So they've generated a ton of Messenger subscribers just through that add to cart checkbox. Another opt-in that they have, which is great, is an exit intent pop-up. So when someone's on the site, it looks like they're about to exit, this get a free bottle pop-up occurs, and then they can opt in to Facebook Messenger to receive their free bottle. So this has driven about 51% of Skinny Mix's opt-ins. And what they actually do is after someone engages with the quiz, they opt in over Messenger or SMS, they can then get messages from Skinny Mixes personalized to the person. So whether it's an abandonment message, let's say they abandoned their cart, whether they browsed certain products or they answered the quiz, Skinny Mixes can actually tell and then create different flows over Facebook Messenger and SMS. And so any brand, this is the secret to Facebook Messenger, any brand who has Messenger subscribers can do this. And this is a really crazy thing that I mentioned earlier. Sponsored messages. This is probably the most underrated thing that you can do with Facebook Messenger. It's insane. The results are crazy. Anybody who sends sponsored messages, their mind gets blown every time. So one sponsored message that Skinny Mixes sent, it reached 30,000 people and it showed a 2,000% return on investment. So a sponsored message, it's kind of like SMS messaging, but it's to Facebook Messenger subscribers and you can target using Facebook advertising. So an SMS message, it could be a blanket message, often it is. You send it to your SMS subscribers. Sponsored messages, you actually create it as if it was a Facebook ad. So you can literally use Facebook targeting to send these messages. So you can get really granular with it. And the impressions, I believe it's about 30 cents per 1,000 impressions at the moment, the last time I checked. So it's still relatively underdeveloped as a channel, but it shows incredible ROI. And so here's a little recap. You can personalize your remarketing using quiz data on Messenger, SMS, Facebook ads, and more. So you collect that data using a quiz, you can put it in Facebook ads, you can create flows over email like Doe Lashes is, or you can send personalized messages on Facebook Messenger and SMS like Skinny Mixes is. Here are also some things to think about. So when you're creating your quiz, you have the ability to create results pages and all these questions that you're asking. But you should really ask yourself, when you're creating results pages and you recommend products, you can actually include upsells or cross sells. So is this something that you want to do? So you could say, okay, somebody has these lashes, but you might also like these lashes. And then when you're creating questions, are there questions that you specifically want for remarketing purposes? So Doe Lashes, their critical question is whether you have worn lashes before or not. So you kind of have to think about the key questions that you would use in remarketing and then put that into your quiz. Are you looking for men's or women's products? Who are you shopping for? Is this for a friend? Is it for yourself? Is it a gift? Those are all really important things. So that's a really great example for Valentine's Day. Figuring out whether somebody's shopping for a friend, for a loved one, what the relationship to that person is, and then you can actually come up at key moments in their life. And then, do you want to collect information from customers? So do you want to work that into your quiz? Do you want to, in the midst of the quiz, ask for email or phone number or messenger? That can be a really powerful way in the moment to convert someone to actually give you their marketing information, because what you're doing is you're saying, okay, before we give you these results, give us your email. And so one of the brands that we work with, they actually found that the longer the quiz is, and if you have email at the end, ask for email at the end of your quiz, someone's actually more likely to give you their email. So that drop-off rate is super low. So it's such an easy win, especially if you already have a quiz, to add an email opt-in, and people really are more likely to give it to you because they really want to get those results. And then, where on your quiz do you plan to put, or where on your site do you plan to put the quiz? So some of our most successful brands have it in their actual menu at the top of their site. We also actually recommend putting it as the header of your website. So right when someone lands on your site, they see it, they click it, and they can take the quiz right away. Beauty Bio, when they actually had it on their homepage of their site, they converted about 75% of people who viewed the quiz actually began to take it. So that's 75% of their visitors were actually going to take the quiz. And if you think about Doe Lashes, Doe Lashes was collecting around 40% of their email opt-ins through the quiz. If 75% of people who view your homepage click to take the quiz, and then all of them go through an email opt-in, you can collect insane amounts of email opt-ins. So that's one of the main reasons why Doe Lashes was able to collect 3 times more email opt-ins. And then results pages. So you can actually customize your results page using product blocks or products and collections. So you could add a whole collection to a results page. You could add specific products. You can add upsells or cross-sells. You can really customize what this page looks like for each person who lands on it. So if you wanted to have, let's say, someone has dry skin, and you want to make sure that this page is tailored towards them, not only can you make sure that the products are for dry skin, you can actually put copy around the page to say, okay, this is why this product works for dry skin. Or like, you don't have to worry about XYZ, and you can almost combat the objections that they might have on this results page, which can be insanely powerful. And then hopefully it looks a little bit more like this. So someone's scrolling through, they take your quiz, and then they place an order. And so we actually have a full playbook on how to get started. So if you go to octaneai.com/playbook, we have a full step-by-step on how to actually implement all of this. So from creating your quiz to creating buyer profiles and how to actually use that in marketing, we go through step-by-step, literally everything on how you can implement, from creating your quiz questions all the way to creating a sponsored message. And then also, if you have any questions, feel free to email me personally, Katie@octaneai.com. And so just go back, and I'd love to open up a Q&A. Definitely put your questions in the chat. So would you recommend doing a quiz during the welcome series email or after the first purchase? So here's a cool idea, is you could actually do both. So you could have a post-purchase quiz that's tailored to people who have already purchased before. So you could have a quiz, like a main quiz for new visitors on your site, people to give that initial information. And you could actually create a post-purchase quiz. So maybe you send it after someone's purchased a product. You could have people even input different text. I know a ton of people like to collect reviews as well after, if you wanted to collect text from people. and collect that as a review, which would be cool. Definitely, if there's any other questions, feel free to type them in the chat. Yeah, no worries. I think another interesting thing, so when you create a quiz, you could actually create a quiz and put it on a landing page that's not accessible. So you don't have to put it on your actual site, but you could put it on a landing page and send that out to people. So if you wanted to have like a landing page for a quiz that's for people who've already purchased, current customers, maybe even VIPs or affiliates, you could actually create a separate quiz and then send it to people via email where it's accessible that way. How many questions should a quiz be? Is there any reason not to collect more info? That's a really good question. So one of the brands I actually work with, they found that the longer the quiz, the more people completed it, which sounds like it wouldn't be true, but it is. So actually, the longer a quiz is, the more invested someone actually is in answering those questions, the more they want to get to that results page. So typically, a lot of the drop off in a quiz actually happens on the first question. And it's not really something you can avoid, but you can change the copy or you can change that question to be something a little more engaging. And then as you go along the quiz, the drop off is actually very low and it gets even lower the longer the quiz gets. But I definitely recommend coming up with maybe 5 questions that you can use in remarketing that are critical to product development or things that you really want to know to create your buyer profile, making sure those questions are in the quiz. A couple questions that are just fun. Like I know Doe Lashes has a question that's like, what's your favorite cartoon? And it's not really used in remarketing, but it's just a fun, engaging question. And then they link to the results page. And then, is there any reason to not collect more info? Definitely not. Anything that you think you can use in remarketing, you should definitely try to collect. I'd also take a look at what info do you have from other places in your tech stack. Like I know in Facebook, you know if somebody's female or male just based on their Facebook profile. So think about, do I have to ask that in the quiz if I already know it through another platform, and trying to make sure that you're not kind of crisscrossing things. And if there's any other questions, perfect. Or even so instead of a question, maybe, is there anything that anyone's like, oh, that wouldn't really work, or that wouldn't really work for me? If there's anything like that, definitely feel free to. Are there certain categories that do better than others? That's a really good question. So we do have, like, it's a no-brainer for beauty brands. I think everyone knows that. Shade finders, any type of cosmetic finder, lash finder, that's a really natural consultation experience because you're typically looking for that. It definitely works in other categories. So if you're thinking about apparel, you could do like a fit finder. We actually have backpacks. So there's Tortuga Backpacks is one of our customers as well. So are you using your backpack for hiking? Are you using your backpack for everyday use? Is it business related? All of those types of questions you can ask as well. A really good example too is Mavi Jeans. So they ask what type of jeans you like, what kind of fit, what's your size, and then they'll actually recommend jeans that way because jeans are typically kind of tough to shop for online. So I'd say any category where something is a little tougher to shop for online, our customers are a little more tentative, that is the perfect situation for a quiz. And I guess any last minute questions? So for a startup e-commerce, would you recommend creating a segmentation in your email marketing for different personas or wait until there's more data? Definitely have a main flow. So have a main welcome flow that's kind of a default for anyone to fall into. But I would actually start creating a quiz early, and that way you're collecting data to actually change your marketing messaging or change your product development, which can be really helpful. So if somebody, I think it was Beauty Bio, like they found a high percentage of their customers were older and looking for anti-aging. So they could actually go, okay, how are we going to change our sites messaging or our welcome messaging, knowing that 60% of people who come are looking for that. So that can be really informative instead of assuming this kind of default sequence. You can also change your quiz as you go. So as you're learning more about the people who take it, you can create a new quiz, change your quiz, and basically just use it to continually iterate, which is really cool. I would say probably a quiz is the easiest thing that someone can do and the most impactful for the data that you're collecting, especially with like iOS changes, and then how you can actually leverage that data in different platforms. Any last minute questions? And definitely feel free to email me afterwards, katie@octaneai.com. Happy to like pull more resources, anything you need. Definitely just shoot me an email. Awesome. Well, I guess if there are no more questions, this was super awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Feel free to reach out, katie@octaneai.com. Thank you so much, Phil. And hopefully we'll get to see all of you in July at the next e-commerce day. Woohoo! Awesome. Thanks, Aurora. Awesome. Thanks, Christy. Definitely feel free to reach out, katie@octaneai.com. Really happy to help with anything. Awesome. Bye.